Welcome to Paranormal Gateway First Time. I'm host Scott Wise, and tonight's special guest is Shockley. Today we're joined by someone who has spent the last decade chasing answers to one of the life's greatest mysteries of paranormal. What began as a one-time Halloween special for his morning radio show quickly turned to a passion for investigating haunted locations, exploring the unexplained. He is co-host of the Smokeless Source podcast, recorded weekly from a haunted ghost town in western Montana, and the creator of Paranormal YouTube channel that takes viewers inside some of the most intriguing haunted places around. Along the way, he's been touched by an abandoned shack, growled at a prison, and witnessed a shadow figure in a brothel, and he even found himself a human situation encounter in a format bananas room that he has to tell us about tonight. Please join us to welcome Paranormal Investigator and co-host of Zero Shop.
How's it going, Scott? Thanks for having me on.
Good. Sure. That's cool on. I guess for those who don't not know you, you can tell us about yourself and what spirits are all about.
Yeah, so I started out, like you're saying, about 10 years ago now when I had moved to a new radio station, and I really liked the old, like the radio plays and like War of the Worlds and like telling a story that way on the radio. And I thought, you know what, it would be kind of fun to do something like that. And that was the time when like Ghost Hunters and all of that was big on TV. And I thought, what if we do this on the radio? And I could, pull together some people, find some, because I didn't know anybody, find some people that were interested in this stuff and see what I could do and put together a story for Halloween for my morning show on the radio. And I managed to find some people, put them together. We got into a building that actually doesn't get investigated very much at all. An old hospital, the former hospital here in town. And got in there, and 51 seconds into my very first recording ever, got an EVP, and didn't know, of course, at the time, and recorded others during that whole thing, and got back and reviewing that at the radio station. I still remember just sort of that, the rush of adrenaline and the feeling of I replayed that thing so many times. Everybody that was in the office, I was like, listen to this. What is this? I wasn't sure I was going to catch anything. I kind of thought I'd follow people around talking to themselves all night, and I'd have to make a fun story. Because you never know. You watch those things on TV, and you're like, what's real? There's no way for you to know whether that's real or not. But here it is in my hand. I recorded a thing. It's nobody else's equipment. It's my equipment. I was there. That sound wasn't in the room. And so at that point, it's sort of like, okay, this stuff's happening. This stuff's real. And it really got me into doing it. It became a big deal. We had to do it every Halloween. My wife's a teacher, and kids were coming up to her in the morning. They were listening to it on the way to school. Is your husband the one doing the ghost stuff? It became a big deal. And so it was really fun. And then it kind of branched off of that into going to investigations, going to different places. And now more recently, I built a friendship with, her name is Karen. She owns Gunslinger Gulch. It's sort of my go-to investigation spot now. And we were talking off and on for a little bit about we should do some sort of podcast. I'm going to sit down and write a book about her place at some point because it's fascinating. But we sort of went, let's do a podcast. Okay. And so it went from just an idea, and we both sort of went, no, actually, let's do that. And so now we hang out. Most often it's at her place. She's got a saloon, and she's got a whole ghost town. So we sit in the saloon and have drinks and chat about ghosts and talk about stuff that's happened on her property, investigations that we've done there, other, just general paranormal stuff, sort of whatever. We ended up doing one podcast about animals and the paranormal. It just sort of happened. We don't really plan out the episode. It's just sort of what happens. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. There is actually another podcast that they don't do it anymore called Spirits with Spirits. Um, so I guess we borrowed a name, but they don't even exist anymore. So we're the ones out there now. We're putting out new content, and yeah, every early Thursday morning, new episodes drop. So one's going to drop here tomorrow, and yeah, it's been fun. I'm having a blast, and love getting into cool old places. I still don't know what it is. I nobody knows exactly what's going on, but I can tell you something's going on, and I love going out there and recording and experiencing evidence of it.
Yeah. I miss it. I started back in, no, I'll share my age. I started back in 1998. Oh, sorry. The last group I had, I was in the group for 15 years. A long time. But I moved out here in Ohio about almost 10 years now. I grew up, um, born and raised in York, VA.
Okay.
So I got to go to Gasper a lot. Yeah, so
And you've got a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of history over there for sure.
yeah,
So they're not surprising that you've got haunted stuff over there.
yeah. But right now I'm in Ohio.
And
Yeah.
we've got, I mean, we don't have sort of that national history, but we definitely have, it's a lot of mining history, honestly, out here. I mean, the
Hmm.
gold rush came out here. And so a lot of these locations, that's a lot of, I think, what led to these places being haunted, from the miners or the other people that were there with them, the immigrants, whatever it is. There's a lot of history in Montana, and a lot of places you go, you're not going to get evidence every night, right? Like you're not going to flip a switch and say, "Okay, ghosts, come on out, do your thing."
Yeah, it works.
But it happens in here in Montana. It seems like you go to these locations and it just almost always happens. I mean, you have quiet nights, but even then, things happen, and it's
Hmm.
pretty incredible to see. Karen and I, my co-host on the show, Karen, we were talking about how we kind of almost take it for granted sometimes when now a cat ball goes off or the REM pod goes off or something, and afterwards we're like, oh yeah, we only got the cat ball and the REM pod, we didn't. But stop and think about that. I mean, you had something happening, right? Like, so sometimes when it happens so often, you take it for granted. And so I'm trying real hard not to do that. It's easy to do because we do have so much activity, but it's incredible. And Gunslinger Gulch is a fascinating place. They did um, a TV show. People may have seen the TV show. That was our first couple episodes talking about that. It was called Ghost Town Terror. Um,
Okay, I heard that.
and we kind of give a peek behind the scenes of what they put on the show is it's reality, right? Like it
Yeah, yeah,
they told a story that doesn't exist. And they started, I mean, it went as far as they were talking that there's demons on the property, and I've been there so many times. There's no demons on that property. There's nothing close to that. But that was the story they wanted to tell. And they edited it in such a way that that's the story they told. And so that was part of the reason for starting the podcast is we wanted to tell the real story about what's happening out there at her property, because she tries to have people come out there and visit either for investigations or do basically western stuff. It's there's all kinds of event horse rides and all sorts of stuff out there. She'll put stuff on Facebook and people go, "Wait, isn't that the place with the demons? How dare you invite families and kids out there?" And it really hurt her business. And so it's good to get out there and put out this is what's actually happening. Don't believe necessarily what you see on TV, because it's only a
yeah.
fraction of it is actually reality.
Right. Yeah, so when I first started off, I think they had a good intention, but over the years it got out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, they had a good the the idea that they pitched to her and what they talked about of, hey, we're going to tell the story of you buying this place and moving in and realizing that it's haunted and what happens. It was a great, I mean, that's a great story, and that's not the story they told. And so it's it's unfortunate, but once you sign that contract, you sort of lose the rights to your own story. You've already signed the
Yeah,
contract, and they get to do whatever they want to do.
yeah,
And Karen kind of complained, and she would say, I don't like this. They would cut all of that out, and she would react to one thing, and they would clip that out and put it over here, like she reacted to it that way when she didn't. Like, they completely moved pieces of the video around, and it's really unfortunate.
yeah. We first started off like first 3 years we got approached by Discovery Channel, and they were talking about doing it, but they take all your stuff that belongs to them, then
Mhm.
your rights and stuff, and they're not going to do that. And we still wish that if we actually decided to do it, excuse me, that God, that if we don't get stuff, we still want to show the episode.
Yeah, because more you don't get stuff more often.
All right. So we've been very fortunate over the years to get stuff.
Yeah, I think people don't realize any of these ghost shows. They go to a location and they're there for 3, 4, even 5 days, and then they cut everything they got together into one 42-minute show. Well,
Yeah.
they were there for a week maybe to get all of that stuff. So it looks like they got all this stuff. Well, they were looking for it for days in order to put together one show. So I think people do get the misconception that you show up at a haunted place and haunted things happen, and that's not necessarily the case.
Right. Over the past decade, how has your view changed paranormally?
Um, when it started, I was I was open minded, right? Like you'd watch the shows and think, I think there's something there, but I think until you experience it yourself, it's just sort of a willingness to believe until you actually see a shadow move in front of you, until a door swings open in front of you, until something
Hmm.
touches you. Then when you have that experience, then something's happening. And so now I've had all those experiences happen, and so now it's gone from being open to this being, yeah, I think there's probably ghosts and paranormal, to, yeah, there's 100% there's something. Now, I can't tell you what it is. I mean, is it some guy that died 100 years ago and he's still hanging out? I don't know. Maybe. Is it? I know they talk about like string theory and like
Yeah.
alternate universes, and
Hmm.
things are bleeding over from one universe into another. We get really close, and it's not a ghost. It's some guy living in another alternate reality, and
Yeah.
somehow it bleeds. Maybe it's that. I don't know. I have no
Yeah.
idea what it is, but 100% it's something. Like, you can't. There's so much out there. I was thinking about it last night, about just the fact that there's so much evidence out there that if you say 50% of it is completely made up, like somebody's just intentionally lying and
Yeah.
making, let's throw that out. Now, of the half that remains, let's say half of that is just people are mistaken, or maybe it's fake. Once you get rid of even all of that, there's still quite a bit left. And so, even if a small fraction of the stuff that we see on the internet and out there, there's something, right? The same as UFOs, right? Like, can we explain them? No, but so many people have seen it. There's so much evidence. They can't all be lying, and they can't all be misidentifying, and they can't all be wrong. Some
Yeah.
of that is unexplained. What is it? I don't know, but it's there. And I think it's silly to just dismiss the fact that just because you don't think it should be, It doesn't matter. Like something's there, something's happening. We just don't know how to explain it. I think we will in, I mean, 50, 100 years, maybe 100 years, everybody will know what ghosts are. And it's just science will have explained it and we'll
Mm.
know. And there'll be something else that we don't know about that we're trying to figure out. Right now, we just go out there and experience it and I do our best to try to figure it out. I don't think any of us in our lifetime is actually going to figure
Yeah.
out what this thing is, but at least not definitively, right? But doesn't stop me from going out there and trying to figure it out.
All right. So, probably covered this already. Do you consider yourself a believer, skeptic, or somewhere in between?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be a believer. Like too many
Yeah.
things I've seen and heard and felt and experienced too many things to not. It's sort of
Hmm.
the same deal. I took my daughter 4 years ago, 3 4 years ago on an investigation, and she was the same deal. She was kind of open to the possibility, and she thought, yeah, this probably happens, but she wanted to go and experience it. And once she went and experienced an overnight investigation where weird things happen, just like, yeah, weird things happen that I can't explain. Something's out there. So I think as soon as somebody goes on an investigation and sees something they can't explain, I don't know how you're not a believer at that point. Like, you don't have to explain it, but you have to believe that something happened.
Hmm. So, of the haunted locations, is there a place that still gives the chills?
Um, there are a couple. There is um the there is a spot inside of a spot, right? There's
Oh, yeah.
the Dumas brothel, very
Hmm.
famous out this way. It was the longest running brothel in the United States. It shut down in the
Wow.
80s. In the 80s, this thing shut down. They kept it running for a very long time. And it was like 2 blocks away from the school. Like the kids would walk past it going to school. Everybody knew it was there. Um, a lot of history in that building. And there is one room upstairs. There's a main level to this place. There's a downstairs. The downstairs is it's sort of the lower you go, the lower class working lady and probably customer you had, and then up on the top level, that's where the madam and all the fancy ladies were. Right on the top level, there is one room. It's unfinished. It's in the corner, and I don't know what it is. It's almost like something doesn't like me in there.
Ugh.
Um, because I can go anywhere else in that building and you feel it's heavy or you feel like something's happening but that one room, it's for me a very intense. It feels like you walked into somebody's house or you walked into a middle of an argument and both people turn and looked at you and they're staring at you and saying without saying it, get out of here, you don't belong here. it there's just this very intense feeling of get out as soon as I walk into that room. And I remember I don't know if it was the last time I was there, a couple times ago, somebody forgot a piece of equipment upstairs. I said, well, I'll go get it. Where's it at? It was in that room. I still remember going in there like a little kid, like sort of quickly grabbing the REM pod and very quickly getting out of that building or getting out of that room because I don't feel welcome in there. And that's one of those things that I do tend to respect those boundaries. Like if you start getting reactions of things or getting EVPs or responses to questions when you say, do you want me to leave? If something says they want you to leave enough and forcefully enough, you should probably leave. And I get that feeling in that room. And so, yeah, I don't spend time in that room. It's just one that I avoid. The last time I was there, I was taking pictures with a digital camera around my neck. It had a strap, and it winds through the metal thing, like, and it's just hanging there on my neck. And I was talking about I was sitting in the madam's room and looking over there saying, I should take pictures of that room. I want to see what's going on in there. And, asking questions of, should I take pictures? Is it okay if I take pictures? That sort of thing. And then right about that time, one side of my camera, the right side of my camera fell to the floor. And I looked, and somehow that right strap had unwound itself, and it just fell out. Like, it physically, my camera fell off because the strap
Oh,
came undone. I don't know how to explain that, other than whatever's in that room didn't want me taking pictures, and I took that as a sign and went, okay, I'm not gonna take pictures then. I don't want to antagonize anything that I can't
right.
see. Right? Like, that seems like a bad idea. And so, yeah, that room and that location is really the only one that just consistently gives me the heebie-jeebies. I've had
Mm.
intense experiences in other locations, but nothing just sort of that consistently stay out.
Is that where you saw a shadow?
Um, no, well, it was in Butte. It was in another um, another brothel, incidentally. Uh,
Okay. Now you
where
get around.
Yeah, well, and it was the lower level. There was a lot of brothels in Butte. There's a lot of minors there, and so the people find work the way they can find work. And there was a tinker shop downstairs, and upstairs the family lived upstairs, and this was sort of a low key, like, it wasn't advertised as a brothel, but it sounds like it's one of those places where it was like, it's a small business and people knew they could go there. And that was where we were upstairs. That was the one with my daughter, actually, when she came. And it relates, I guess, to the it's time to leave. We had done an Estes session. We had done a whole lot in there. It was kind of the end of the night, so different groups had come in there a few times, because we split up into two groups and kind of rotate through. Um,
Mhm.
we had several groups have been through that building, and then we all came together in the end in this same room. And at the end, we were the answers weren't coming as frequently and as quickly. And we had some cat balls set up, and I remember asking, are you wanting us to be done? Is it time? Are you done with us? And the cat ball instantly goes off. And so it's like, okay, let's end this. We turned on the lights, and sort of when exciting things happen, like you do, you just kind of start talking to each other and downloading, like, this happened and this happened and this happened. And we probably went for 5 6 minutes or something, just talking, being excited. And then the cat ball started going off again, and it was a reminder of, like, oh, we were supposed to get out of here. And that was about the time where, just out of my peripheral vision, not all the way on the side, but really close, just moving like this, I was here, and there was a lady on the back wall, and it was the stereotypical, not a shadow, but an absence of light. Like, it was a dark black outline of shoulder up, and the hat, like a cowboy hat or whatever, and it just kind of moved off to the side. I turned, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure what I saw. My brain's trying to figure it out. And I looked at the lady across the way, and her friend was standing next to her. They were looking at each other, and she turned and looked at me, and she said, "Yeah, we saw it." Because we just kind of locked eyes, and we didn't have to ask the question of each other. She knew what I was wanting to know, and she said, "Yeah, we saw it." Um, so that was neat, that there was somebody else that saw it happen. So it's not just me, and I sit there for the rest of my life going, "Am I sure?" Because you doubt yourself a little bit. They saw the same thing, and it felt like something was like, "Look, you said you were leaving." And at that point, when you see a black shadow move like a few feet from you, it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna, because the lights were on. Yeah, we're gonna pack up and we're gonna get out, because what happens after that, right? Like, they set off the cat ball. Now something manifests and shows itself to you. What's the next step if you don't get the hell out, right? So, yeah, it was time to load up and leave. Um, Yeah, that was an interesting experience for sure.
Uh, you also growled at a prison.
What's that?
You growled at a prison.
Yeah, the old Montana State Prison. Um, it was a rough place, and I went and I need. It's been a minute since I was in there, but the last time I was there, I found there's three cell blocks or three tiers to the cells, and I
Mhm.
found on the very end of one there was an old ladder, and I was curious where it went. We were at the top. We were on level three. Where does this ladder go? So climbed up the ladder, and it's very narrow, like rebar. Like I mean, it's very thin and not very far from the wall. You can put your toes on the rungs, and that's about it. It's a little sketchy. And when I got to the top, I'm hanging on with one hand. It was my left hand. I was hanging on my left hand. My right hand, I had my camera and my light trying to see what's on top. It looks like it was an area where probably guards hung out. There was tables and chairs and stuff up there. Looked like an informal, just a hangout spot.
Yeah.
Um, but that was when I'm one hand on this thing, this sketchy ladder, right in my ear, in my right ear. I still the closest thing I can think of is like a Doberman pincher or something like that deep guttural, just low, mean animal growl, and it
Ugh.
was right in my ear, and that was also reflecting on it later. I started to wonder was something trying to make me fall because it scared me. Like it came out of nowhere and it's something like something was over my shoulder. And I was like, was something trying to scare me? Because if I fall off that ladder, I'm falling 10 feet onto like I would probably hurt myself pretty seriously. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if something's trying to scare me, something's trying to tell me to get out, but there's definitely darker things in that prison, and I think probably at any old prison, there's stuff that doesn't seem very nice, and there's definitely some of that in the state prison. I've got some incredible. I've got a video on my YouTube channel of getting responses to using a flashlight, and having it flick on and off very clearly, immediately after questions. Um, and the flashlight was sitting on the old gallows. They called it the galloping gallows. It used to, whenever they hung somebody in the state, they took that thing all around wherever. And so there's been a lot of people that died on that gallows. And so I set the flashlight on the steps of that and was getting a lot of yes and no answers. It was pretty neat. And then it sort of stopped happening. The flashlight was on at the time and I wasn't getting it to turn off. And so I did. I was like, I guess we're done. Is that it? And it clipped off. And when I reviewed the video at the same time, you can hear a whispered yep. At the same time as the flashlight turned off, there was a yep. And so that was neat that there was an EVP along with the flashlight turning off at the same time. Like,
Hmm.
that's crazy. And so that it's full of activity in that prison. Um, but yeah, that's where I was growled at and wasn't very welcome up on that the top of that third level.
Yeah. I was called at once mansion. But they
And what
yeah.
was
I,
what was that
you
like
know,
for you? Like what? Because it felt very intimidating.
you know what? I standing there and me and one guy who was setting up and we're like, "Do you hear that?" And we both said growl at the same time. And yeah, we both got called on audio too. So
Yeah, and that one I didn't have any equipment running because it was almost just a curious like, hey, what's up here? And that's something we've talked about on the podcast and during investigations. Of it almost seems like sometimes things happen, or big things happen when you're not recording, when you don't have equipment going, and it almost makes it feel like, is that intentional? We've heard big sounds, I've heard growls, I've seen things. I At the state prison, I did get a couple pictures with my camera, But all my batteries had died on all of my other equipment, and I saw an orb, a blue ball, with my eyes moving across the courtyard. I had nothing to record like video or anything like that. And that's when it happens, right? Like, of course, that's the
Right.
time. I mean, I got a few pictures and you can see something there for sure, but it would have sure been nice to have video of something like that. I I almost wonder if things happen in like intentionally when we're not recording. I don't know. It's something. It's a random theory I've started thinking about.
Right. Yeah. So you tell us about being touched by a ghost?
Yeah, I've been touched a few times. It's weird. We
Yeah.
actually talk about that a little bit. I think on our I think it's on the next episode of the podcast. Um, I've been touched. I think probably 3 times. Um, once at the prison, and the first time it was on at the prison. It was on the top of my head, and I was kind of tired. End of the night, like this, I'm wearing a hat, and your brain just kind of. I walked through, and it almost felt like you went through spider webs or something, and they all brushed on the top of you,
Hmm.
and my brain just went, "Oh, that's what it was," and and I sort of stopped and went, "Man, you're wearing a hat." Like
Yeah.
nothing can touch your head, but I felt something on my actual head, and it wasn't pushing down on the hat; it was on my head. Um, so that was kind of like that breaks your brain a little bit trying to figure out how that happened. But
Kind of feels like
a few times.
kind of feels like a cobweb.
Yeah, the last time it happened was um, in Butte, actually at that second brothel down below it is it was where basically the poorest of the poor used to live in tin buildings and whatever they could junk they could find to build their houses when they
Hmm.
were mine was operational. And it was a really bad part of town and really poor people living there, and a lot of criminals went there to hide, and it was a bad deal. And I was in a shack there, and yeah, it felt like that one was a little different. It almost felt like um, it was really cold. For sure, it was cold, but it felt like almost like a moth or butterfly wings or something brushing on the back of my hand. But this was, I mean, it was probably 15 or 20 degrees. It was in the winter. There's no bugs flying around. It wasn't in the summer. I didn't say anything. All the lights were off. There was half a dozen people in there. Um, didn't say anything because I was thinking about it and I was trying to figure out is that what happened here? Because I turned my flashlight on. I'm looking around on my hand and there's nothing. And then the guy sitting across from me all of a sudden went, "I think I just got touched." I said, "What did it feel like?" He's like, "I don't know, like something like a feather or something brushing up against me." And I said, well, "Yeah, that's you were touched, and I I was too just before that." It's it's interesting. Karen tells a story on our I think it's this podcast tomorrow where she felt like something tried to kiss her actually at the state prison. She felt like
Ooh.
pressure on her lips, on her cheek. Like she was like, "Yeah, I was out of there. That was no. That's a lot of
Creepy.
no." Um, so I think if you've done this long enough, you've probably experienced that or been with somebody that
Yeah.
experienced it.
Mhm.
Uh, been touched or scratched. I guess those are the two. I've been with one of my fellow investigators been scratched. She lifted up her shirt and we can see there's a long scratch on her back.
Yeah.
Um, I've never been scratched or anything, but I've been touched a few times, and it's weird, like because you feel something, but you can't see it, and so your brain can't figure out. Like it hurts your brain trying to figure it out. It's it's different. I don't mind it, but it's definitely different. It's uncomfortable a little bit because it's just so alien and so foreign. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you had that before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did yours feel like?
But it felt good. Um, it was at that mansion. It felt like a right down my leg.
Hmm.
I guess. Yeah. I think that little girl
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah. That's
I caught her on audio too.
okay.
Um, you were at I mentioned upstairs. I always start and record as soon as I get in. Then when I set stuff up, I'll get my recorders going. And I was there, and the names little ghost kids were Jacob and Hannah. And I asked about if they were there. I said, so is Hannah here too? And you could hear a mm-hmm. And I actually heard it and picked it up on the audio.
Okay.
Yeah. I have it here. You want that real quick?
Yeah. Sure.
Just to here. It has to be probably pretty close. It's easier probably with the headphones one, but um, yeah, here. Yeah, here. I'll start up over too. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
EVPs are fun.
yeah, I got a lot of weird stuff too. Um, creepy ones too.
Yeah.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll, I'll send some to you after the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. But that's for sure to do EPs because I don't love that much video or otherwise
Yeah.
photos over the years. But so I, we're going to go into some next part here, Bob. Did you ever capture any evidence, audio, video, photographs? So you want me to show you that photograph and you explain it?
Sure. Yeah.
There you go.
So, so yeah. I mean, if people are listening on audio, it makes it tough. Come and check out the
Yeah,
video. Come and check out the
yeah,
video. Um, this is I think it's the best FLIR photo I've ever seen. This happened on one of our investigations. It was a fellow investigator took this. I took a picture. This is a picture of her FLIR camera screen. We were out in a field. This is at Gunslinger Gulch. Um, and there have been some Native American um, paranormal type stuff out there previous, but they filmed a movie out there scenes for a movie, and they came in and they built a. I think they called it a summoning circle or a healing circle. It was a Native American thing. There's symbols carved on the rocks. They had a medicine man come in. They did it like legit. When the movie was done, they left, and they left this circle there. And it seems like whatever was there has sort of picked up since this circle was there. So we went out one night and we're trying to investigate around that stone circle on the ground. It snowed the next, like overnight. I woke up and there was snow on the ground. It was pretty chilly that night. Um, it's an open field for the most part. If you're looking at the pictures, you can see on the left hand side of it is a couple of trees. You can
Mhm.
see those in yellow. You know, they're throwing off some heat. This was very late at night, midnight, 1 a.m., something like that. I don't know. It was later, or it's right there. It was 10:09, I guess. It's on the
All
screen.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
10 o'clock at night. I knew it was late, but um, late at night, and certainly nothing out in this field. It's open. And we got back, we finished out there. We had a couple things like the music box, the motion activated music box. It went off a little bit. The cat balls went off a little bit. It felt weird out there, but we didn't get a whole lot of activity. And we went back. We were in the saloon, and Jamie was flipping through the video and the photos that she took on her FLIR, and it was, wait a minute, what is this? What do you see here? And asked several people, and honestly, I kind of thought, I hadn't seen it at that point. I kind of thought, so many times people are like, do you see the face in the mirror? Do you see the face in the smoke? Because you're just trying to see something. And I thought, well, okay, can I see it? And she brought it over, and it is on the right hand side of the picture. It's a teepee. It's an Indian. It's a Native American.
Yeah.
You can see it's throwing off heat.
Yeah.
It's yellow. It's a couple degrees. It looks like it's a couple degrees warmer than the trees. It's in proportion with the trees there to what size it would be. And we're not just seeing a triangle, because then you would go, well, is it the corner of somebody's sleeve? Is it like, what could that be? Somebody's jacket? Or there are the posts sticking up. When you set up the teepee, there's interlocking posts at the top going different directions, and they stick out of the top of the hide or the canvas, whatever it's made out of. Those poles are on there. You can see them sticking out the top. And on the original, when you're looking at it, you can see the corner of the teepee even. It kind of bends around. There's defined edges. I've shown it to a lot of, I showed it to my father-in-law, who is open to the idea of this, but he's just not sure. He's raised in Texas. He's just a tough guy. And I said, okay, tell me what this is. He looked at that picture for 5 minutes, trying to figure out what he could say it was. And he said, yeah, I don't know what else it is. It's a teepee. It's there. It's throwing off heat, but there was nothing in the field. There's not a teepee in that field. And so I don't know how to explain. She took that picture. There's also in that picture, there's two blue, like very cold, like 20 degrees, like wisps. And that's what she was looking for. She's looking for cold, because usually if you see something on a FLIR, if it's maybe a spirit, it's cold. It's sucking in the heat around it, and you see a cold shape. So when she sees cold, she just sort of instinctively hits the button, takes a still frame, takes a picture. She saw those blue wisps kind of at the ground moving up, and that's what she took the picture of. Didn't realize what else was in that frame. So in addition to the teepee, there's also two 20-degree cold spots that are a weird shape that floated up from the ground that they also don't really have an explanation. There's no reason for those to be there so much colder than everything else around it. It's a really weird picture. It's sort of like EVPs when you hear the reverberation and the echo in a room sometimes when you get an EVP, but that wasn't there. So how is it echoing when we didn't hear it with our ears? This is the same sort of deal. How is something that's not there throwing off heat? I have no answer, but I can't tell you what else that is, because for the life of me, I'm going to say that's a teepee. I don't know what else it is. Scott, I don't know what you think that might be, but it sure looks like a
That's
American
teepee. That's what I would say, teepee.
I can't explain it. It's crazy. And we've gone out there. I went out there the next morning, and I'm trying to figure out, you're taking pictures in that same direction going, what could it be? Jamie went out there, and she's like, there's nothing there. It's a shame we didn't see it at the time, right? Because then you can keep it was just sort of an accidental catch, really. She was taking a picture of those blue cold spots, and which are interesting, but not as interesting as something throwing off heat that's not there. I don't know scientifically. I don't know how that works. I can't explain it.
No.
I'd love if somebody's watching and then we put it on the Gunslinger Gulch Facebook page and we said, please, somebody tell us what else this is. Like, I'd love for somebody, because that when we get evidence, we try to debunk it, right? Like if it's not something unexplainable, if it's not paranormal, we don't want to put it out there like it is.
Right.
And so if there's a explanation that we can go, oh, that's what I'd love to hear that. Partially because it would just make my brain stop trying to work to figure that out. I'd love to hear if somebody knows what that is. If they could give a rational, real world explanation for a hot teepee showing up in the middle of the night in an open field that's not there. That's weird.
We'll play this audio.
Yeah, if you want to. I don't know if you've got it queued up. I didn't send Scott. I was bad. I didn't send Scott actual EVP files. I sent him like a link to a video, which is bad on my part. I feel shame.
That's right. I rather to program the audio for it, so make it find it. I think I'm over that.
Leading our little late night party, Helena's Michael.
There.
Yeah,
Did you
that
catch
is.
it? After Michael asks his questions, some
That was,
silence, and then photographer John Lynch. Fittingly, it's
That was
stormy night.
that's audio from my radio show. I put together the whole radio show, and that's just ripped from that. That was 51 seconds. That's my very first EVP that I ever recorded. Was that? And it was interesting when I pulled that for you just this afternoon. I was like, oh, I should send him something. It's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. I'd never looked at it with the subtitles, like the setting on YouTube to turn on closed caption. That was turned on today, I guess. And when I happened to be listening through it, the computer AI, whatever they have set up that understands and puts what you're saying on the screen with closed caption, when that went off, it said the word please. And so the computer brain AI thing actually thought that little said please, which I think is interesting. It makes me want to go back and play all my other EVPs through it and see if it puts words to it, because a computer that's not, it's not our ears. It thought that was an actual word. So I don't know. It's interesting. That was in that old hospital. And I recorded several things. There's more on that video. Myself and another guy. There's no women there that night, and there's no guys making that. Like, there's no reason for that. Two of us we went in a patient's room, and then there was a shower in there, and it's pretty small. You could hear it. It sounded like an old man groaning. It was like, and it echoed off the walls. I was like, that's neither of us, man. Like that was, like I said, that was the night when I for sure was like, okay, there's weird things, because this is my audio. Nobody's messing with it. And I'm recording voices that weren't there. I saw that night we had a bunch of cameras set up. They all wanted to go out for a smoke break. They left me alone in this building. The one guy that doesn't smoke, I'm like, you're leaving me here? I saw like a white mist come from under a closed door, because there's like a gap. It came through and it kind of hung around, and then it went around and went into the room next to it. And I'm watching this. I'm by myself in this building. And that's when I started texting. I was like, you guys got to get back in here. I'm not hanging in here by myself. And that was before I knew I had recorded EVPs. We had a few weird experiences, and there was a guy's phone that was sitting on the counter, and all of a sudden it just went off. It started playing a song, like it went into Pandora and just started playing a song. You have to like open the app and select a song, and it was on the counter. Nobody was touching it. All of a sudden music starts playing. He goes, that's my phone. We couldn't figure that out either. Like, there's no way to go in and start playing a Pandora station with nobody touching it. That was a weird night. That was it. I think a night like that has to hook somebody. Like, at least if it doesn't make you want to go out again, it makes you a believer. I think. I think anybody that's halfway curious should go out and just try it once. Find somebody that knows what they're doing. Go and buy a ticket from one of these locations that sells tickets at a haunted location, and give it a shot. Like what do you got to lose? You prove yourself right, or maybe there's something there. I think everybody should go check it out if you're at all curious, because
Oh,
it's fascinating.
yeah.
That was the same. I remember they in that hospital scared the ever loving out of me. Walked around. It's dark. Walked around into a patient room, and they, for whatever reason, had like I don't know if it was like a CPR dummy or something like that, and then a couple of extra body parts from other mannequins sitting in a chair in the corner. When you're on edge and you've never done this before, and you walk around in a dark, I mean, hospitals are kind of creepy when it's dark, and long hallways, and it's just a weird vibe. And I went around the corner, and there's this mangled, I thought a person sitting in the chair, and I almost lost it. And then flip on the flashlight, I'm like, oh, it's a mannequin. But that was kind of terrifying. That was one of the scariest I've ever been, and it turned out it was a mannequin.
Yeah. I've been before at the prison that I went to. They do Halloween specials there, and they decorate it, and they have stuff locked away. Not a window stuff you can look in or whatever. And we have one of our, investigators. We have cameras up, shoot down the hallway, and she looked this way. She jumped back to the gun and here, looking at how a monster stand up right inside the thing, and she saw it.
It's interesting when all of your senses are like tuned up because you're trying to find the thing that you can't hardly see. And then when something that you can see very clearly shows up in front of you, it's like your senses are turned to 11, and it just completely, it's far more scary than what it should be. And then sometimes when the paranormal stuff happens at Gunslinger Gulch, we were sitting in the jail building, and Bobby Joe, another investigator, had the parabolic mic on with the headphones, and she said, I hear walking, like out on the boardwalk outside of this building. She's like, I hear footsteps, and just after that, I kind of turn. I'm sitting right here. There's a door here, and then she's over on the other side of the door. The doorknob, the door, it's a push button, not a handle. It's a little push button, and then you push in. It started kind of jiggling and rattling. And then all of a sudden the door swung open. And this is a door that catches, like it's not even. So it started to, it just swung open, this door. After she heard footsteps, I heard the handle, and the door just flung open. And we didn't have any video pointing at the door, of course. But I had audio running, and you can hear me just like state, it was almost just stating like the capital of Montana, just a fact. I went, oh, the door opened. Like it was such a big thing, and it was just like, oh, the door opened. And it was a weird reaction to something that was pretty crazy. We actually, and at the end of the night, we left the room, left the building. And I wanted to make sure, I have on video myself, I was the last one out. I shut the door, and then I rattled it because I wanted to see, can it come open just if it caught wind or whatever. And I'm rattling this door. It's shut. And I'm like, nope, it can't open. Brandon, investigator, forgot something in there. Half hour later, something like that, and went back down there to get it out of the jail. And he came back and said, did you leave the door open? I said, no, and I've got it on video of me locking it or shutting the door, walking away. He goes, because when I went back there to get the equipment, it was wide open. So it opened again after we left, which is crazy to see things. And I've had that a few times where you see something move with no explanation. That's weird too. Like to see a physical interaction. Like I recently had a cat ball just roll across the table all of a sudden. I shouldn't have. Like, you see him go off, but then to see it actually, it just physically started rolling. That's
We
weird.
that we had that happen to us. We were at a uh, one building owned by a Cajun restaurant that we investigated in, and there was a fire on top level, and we had a cat ball on a table downstairs in the big area of the parties, and we heard a knock and roll, and here you can see it just falls off and roll on the floor. They got video of that too. That was something else.
I love the cat. The cat ball
But,
might be my favorite piece of equipment for investigating because it's so simple and it can't be set off. I mean, vibrations can set it off, but you can debunk that easy. Like it's pretty basic. And so when it goes off, it moved, it was touched, something happened to it. Like it, not much can go wrong with the cat ball. So it's neat when those. I was in Virginia City. It's another ghost town, but it's like a commercial ghost town, right? Like you can come and people walk through and look at the old shops and stuff. There's an old toy shop, and I walked through it in the day before we started this investigation in another building. And that was the only building where I felt like it feels weird in here. It feels different. And then I was back that night and the building was closed, but I set a cat ball on the windowsill outside of this toy store. And I put it on my YouTube channel. I've got video. Those cat balls, they go off for like 10, 12 seconds, then they turn off. I've got a video of this thing going off for like 10, 15 minutes. It would go and it would turn off and then instantly turn on and then turn on and then turn on. Like it didn't stop. At some point it was like responding to questions you'd ask and it would go off. But then all of a sudden it just started going off. And we left, walked down the street. You could see it reflecting in the window. Nobody was even over there. And it was still, it went on and on and on. And I went back. I had it sitting on a base, so it couldn't roll. It was sitting in a little wooden base. But I went back at the end of the night, and I took the big Maglite flashlight, and I was thumping all around. Because what I said was, you know what? You clearly like this. I'm just going to leave it here for you, and I'll come back and get it later tonight. And I went back, and I was smacking all around. I was jumping up and down on the boardwalk outside. I was trying to make it go. It wouldn't go off. So there was nothing that was setting this thing off naturally, because I couldn't set it off while I was trying to set it off. But I have never seen a cat ball do what that one did that night, where it just went off for 5-10 minutes at a time. And then it would stop, and then it just started going again. It's pretty crazy. That was a neat cat ball experience. And that's one of the things that you guys give this a shot. Your next investigation, Scott. I have started doing it and I've had success with it more often than not when you're trying to get something to happen in a place you know things happen at. It worked for me at the Dumas brothel. That's the first place I tried it. I was trying to get this thing to go off all night. It wouldn't go off. And so finally I said, you know what? If you set this thing off, I'll leave it here. I'll let you have it. You can have it. I'll leave it when I leave. You just have to set this thing off. And at the brothel, instantly it went off, and it went off like 3 times. It's happened multiple times where I say, you know what, if you set this off, I'll leave it. And those cat balls are relatively inexpensive, but I've left those things all over the state because that's one of my new favorite investigating things of, I will leave this for you. You can have it. Just set it off for me. It's weird, but it works. And then they get to play with it until somebody takes it and the battery dies, I guess. I don't know.
So, you do your recording. We do a podcast. Do you ever have anything unexpected interruptions or anything during your episodes?
We've never had like anything big. We've recorded a couple of times where there was like EVPs in the audio where there's unexpected. There's one that we just recorded here recently where there was some unexpected like garble. It's weird. It's like a in between like us talking.
Can I stop you a second?
Yeah.
You were told about that. Did you see it earlier going like this? Because I thought I heard them talking while we were talking.
Oh.
So I don't
I
know
didn't
if
hear
you have
anything.
something. And
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
I'll go back.
You have to listen back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've had that a couple times where we recorded stuff that you rewind it back and you're like, I think that's an EVP, and we're going to try in different. We primarily do it in the saloon building, but there's lots of other buildings. There's 12, 13 other buildings we could do it in if we wanted. So we're going to try and like do it in different spots and see. There's one location in there, a little dugout cabin in the side of a hill. There seemed to be like some child spirits in there, and anything that you bring in there that lights up, REM pod or cat ball or like a tripwire or whatever it is, if it lights up, very often it goes bonkers in there. My little board for recording the podcast has all these lights on it. So we're like, if we bring that in there, maybe we get something because it lights up. And so yeah, we're gonna try to invite. We've never invited something to happen, right? Like we just record, but I'd love to sort of invite, like, hey, have some interaction here. If you want to play with this while we're talking, go ahead. I think
Mhm.
it would be interesting to see. I know cross promoting. I don't know if you've listened to what is it? Dark Matters. It's the Midwest Ghost Hunters. I guess it's your direction. I think they're in St. Louis.
Yeah.
They record in a haunted location too, and they get EVPs on their microphones as well, which is interesting because they use the same type of mic that we use. It's directional. You have to be right in front of it in order to make this thing go off. So it's weird when you get something that wasn't there and there's no explanation for it. Yeah, we had it a couple times, not as many times as I thought we would, but we've had it for sure.
Yeah, we picked up a ghost choir at a church on a DVR camera.
Okay. Yeah.
And
We're going to talk about on one of the upcoming episodes where we haven't played a lot of EVPs, and we should. We're going to play one that we got out there. Karen got it out there. Not really an investigation, just she had a friend of hers. They decided to go up and check out upstairs one of these buildings. And so they were recording on just her phone, I believe. And not a formal thing. I don't even think it was late at night. You can hear them asking, is we've gotten random names out there. So they were asking, is so and so here? Are you here? Do you know why you died? Like, the normal questions. And initially you hear kind of a click, which you could dismiss as anything. But then as they're talking, you hear a loud bang. It sounds for all the world like somebody shot a gun off in that room. They obviously didn't hear it. Karen took it to the guy that runs the gun range and said, "Can you listen to this and tell me what this sounds like to you?" And I don't remember what he told her. He even told her what caliber he thought it sounded like. But he's like, "Yeah, that's a handgun. That's a pistol." And he said he listened to the whole thing. There's that click before it first happens. He said, incidentally, that to me sounds like a dry fire or a misfire. So that's when she recorded an EVP of a gunshot, which is crazy to me. For some reason, I sort of accept and understand voices, like you've recorded a voice of some kind. But when it's actual like that, a gunshot, I recorded little kid footsteps running across the floor sounding. Those are weirder to me, and I don't know why. But when it's not a voice, when it's some other sound, that's always weird to me. But we're going to get that on the podcast here soon. That's one of the cooler EVPs that I've heard of. It's so loud, Scott. Like it's like somebody shot a gun in this room. It's wild.
yeah, we had guests were at B&B and picked up drumming.
Okay.
Like so warped. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's it's weird because you do this for so long, you think I've experienced all the things, and then something different happens and something weird happens, and you're like, okay, there's more. Like there's more that can happen.
Yeah.
It's fun. It keeps me going back out.
Yeah. I don't guess much there, boy. I have a walker. I have to use now to get around. But so the the kids who are to the Amber's place you won't come back to.
Um, I don't think so. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't love going back into that one room with the Doomis, but like
Yeah.
locations, I've never because generally it doesn't scare me. Like it
Right.
intrigues me more than anything else. I want to
Mm-hmm.
know more. I want to understand what is this. There are scary at the prison. I've had lots of scary like feelings and interactions at there and other places, but never to the point where I felt like I was in danger. Like maybe temporarily, I want to leave. Like, okay, you want your space? I'm good. You know that. But I've always wanted to go back, right? Like I always, let's go back now and let's see if the same thing happens, or let's see if something different happens. Maybe, maybe I'm broken. Maybe my brain's broken that I should be more scared of some of these places, but but I'm not.
Right. Do you think the ghosts are truly experiences these people, or is there an explanation?
And that I don't know. I mean, sometimes it seems like
That's
it.
tough. Yeah, tough question.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you seem to get interaction that indicates that, but you know, could it be something that's just screwing with you? You know, it's something
Mhm.
that's just messing around. We did an Estes session out at Gunslinger Gulch, and there was something coming through the spirit box that um, it was just being obnoxious. It sounded like a middle school kid, and we've talked
Yeah.
about this on our show before. It sounded like just the middle school uh, kid in class that wants to interrupt everything because it was just being obnoxious. And we kept saying, "What is your name? Tell us your name. Who are you? We want to know who we're talking to." And finally, this thing said, "I'm Steve, Steve the demon." We're
Oh,
like, "No, you're not," because it kept saying, "I'm the devil, I'm Satan, I'm this, I'm that," and we're like, "No, you're not. Like, tell us what." And so finally, it goes, "I'm Steve, Steve the demon." So now we joke about Steve the demon, like it was just something being dumb and something just. It's almost like whatever it was screwing with us and just having fun messing with the people. So what is that? I don't know. I don't think Steve's a demon. I don't think I I don't know what it is. I really don't. I want to. Um I I just don't know. I can't give you an answer, Scott.
yeah. Let's go on.
What's your
Uh,
answer?
I same thing. I mean, I don't think I know either. But next question, um, through the covered so far with your experiences, has it changed your personal beliefs about life after death?
Maybe. Like it's gotten me to dig into a little bit on like what do different faiths believe, like just trying to find out what is this, right? So you go, what does this person think it is, what does this person think it is? And it's interesting just how many points of view there are on it. I don't know, again, I don't know if it's given me an answer, but I feel like it opens up possibilities, if that makes sense. Like I mean
Yeah.
it's certainly possible. There is so out at Gunslinger, we again doing it was during that same Estes session. Bobby Joe, she's one of our investigators that is part of our team. That when people come out there for a guided tour, there's a handful of us that are usually leading the investigation, and she's one of those. And out there, she believes that the spirit of her father always comes through, or not always, but that's the only place she's ever experienced it, and she believes there's interaction with her father. And I have no reason to doubt her, right? Like, because her name gets said on equipment out there all the time.
Hmm.
Uh, this last time, she actually had in the Estes session, the person that was under said a name. Was it? Now I'm forgetting, and Bobby Joe's probably going to watch, and I'm going to feel like Carolyn, something. Um, the the woman wearing the headphones on the thing, she would have no idea. But turns out, the name that she mentioned was her father's, I believe, second wife. How does that name, out of all the names that could come through, how does that name come through? And then Jamie, who's in the Estes session, um, it basically says, she says the name. She says, "Oh, Bobby Joe says, oh, she's in someplace I think in Arizona." She named a city, and Jamie says, "Where's that?" She says, "Oh, that's in Arizona." Jamie goes, "Oh." There was like a conversation happening with this woman with a blindfold and headphones on, with a relevant response and a name that none of us knew the name, or we didn't know until we saw her reaction and she told us afterwards what was happening. Is that her dad? I don't know, but it's something that somehow knows when a place where her dad's spirit comes through, knows her dad's second wife and asks about where is she. What is that? Like, if that's not the spirit of a person, what is it that knows that information that nobody else knew? I that one is that was crazy. Like that, I can't explain that Estes session. That was one of the cooler sessions I've been in, just because there was that personal connection that meant
Hmm.
something. Not just something to answer, what's your favorite color, and it says green. That's cool, but this was like sort of next level type. Like, it was neat, and so that roundabout way, I guess, to answer, like, I've seen some stuff now that makes me wonder, like, maybe it could be spirits. I don't know if that's what they all are, but there was something that knew Bobby Joe's dad's second wife's name and wanted to ask about her. I don't know what else that would have been.
Well, so if we investigate any historical location, where would it be?
Anyway,
Historical location.
um, I mean, I think we've got cool historical locations here, just not nationally historical. I have
No.
been not doing a formal investigation, but I've been like the 9/11 memorial,
Oh yeah.
and you can feel in that place, like, it's just, and I know some of that is just reverence and just respect for, it's a very heavy thing. Anybody walking in that doesn't believe in the paranormal is going to feel this place is different. This place is special and emotional. But it was almost more. It was something more. They actually have an old one of the steel girders there, and you can stand on a platform and look down over it and see it down below. And I remember standing there and just like I started to cry, like, for no reason. I just felt a very heavy. It it didn't feel like my sadness. It just, all of a sudden, I was almost weeping just looking at this, and I don't think that was me having a reaction, just personally, physically, to that. That was something else. Um, it was different, um, and that's a place where the curious part of me would like to actually investigate, but then just the humanity side of me goes, that's not appropriate, at least not right now.
Right.
Um, I don't know. I don't know how long. What's the time period before you can start investigating there? I don't know. Um, but I think, yeah, those historical type sites that have, Gettysburg and places out where you've got a lot of um,
Hmm.
places where, even if it's just an empty field, there was a
Yeah.
lot that happened there,
Hmm.
and that has to leave some sort of mark behind. That has to leave.
Sort of residual energy.
Yeah, I mean, it has to leave something. I heard somebody, I think, one time called it like um, a paranormal scar or something. Like it has to leave
Uh,
something behind.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it'd be neat to go and experience some of the some of the famous stuff, right? Like go to the Waverly Hills and
Oh, yeah.
But I do think it's neat going to the places. We went and investigated a steakhouse. It's kind of in a ghost town a little bit. Um, but the story of the building, I found out it used to be um, the train depot and another on a it's called Silver City. It's not even there anymore. It was when they were mining and they brought through silver. That was on the railway, and they brought the train depot when the town died and vanished. Somebody bought that building, brought it on a trailer, and set it up in this town. And so, like a train depot, there's a lot of emotional stuff that happens going through a building like that. I think it brings it with it. We went, I investigated that place 8, 9 years ago. It had new owners now. And I just reached out to him and I said, "Hey, I was there, quite a long time ago. They asked me there to investigate. If weird things are happening, just let me know and I can come out and we can look at it and we can tell you what's going on." And they were like, "Yeah, weird things are happening. Please come out here." And we went out and investigated the place, and I got on video backing up some of their claims of, they have these um, challenge coins from military members hanging by their bar. And they'd said every once in a while we come in, and there's a whole line of them. And they'd say every once in a while we come in, and one is just wildly swinging.
Hmm.
And I actually wound up getting it on video of, I looked over there. I'm like, wait a minute, one of them's moving. And we went over there, and I got one going this way, and the one next to it's going this way. There's no air around. I'm feeling all around it, trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
is there something? Is there a draft? Is there? And there's nothing. But these things are moving in two different directions next to each other, and that was really neat to validate them, so they could go, look, there's video. We're not crazy. These things are happening. I think it's almost more rewarding to go into a place like that and be able to help people. Just give them validation to realize that I'm not crazy. Like, things are happening, and even if I don't understand it, somebody else saw it. And so I love the historical sites, but going to a restaurant and helping them out, that's pretty cool too. Like, I actually really enjoy that.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what exciting investigations or projects can listeners expect from you and your podcast?
Yeah, we got a new one coming out every Thursday. We've got new ones coming out. We do have a couple of investigations going on out at Gunslinger Gulch for sure in October. We've got one on October 3rd, and turns out Halloween's on a Saturday this year, and we always try to do something around Halloween. And so we may have an actual Halloween investigation out there. And I say I'm not affiliated with her other than I'm her friend now, and appreciate the place, and so do all I can to promote it because I think it's phenomenal. Um, we'll probably have some investigations. My group is actually going, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to go with them, and I'm so bummed out, to
Oh,
location in Idaho, Anthony's. I think it's St. Anthony's in Idaho. The Ghost Adventures crew went there. I think my schedule is going to conflict with that, so that is coming up for them, and we'll probably have evidence and talk about that on the podcast, and also on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel doesn't get updated. It's Big Sky Paranormal, and I don't update it as often as I'd like because, as you know, it takes forever to go through evidence. Like, evidence
yeah.
review is it's a chore, and
Mm-hmm.
so and then when you find stuff to actually put a video together and upload it and do all that, it takes a lot of work. And
Yeah.
I have other things to do, and so I do it
Yeah.
as often as I can. But we'll have new. I'm starting a new series. I've just sort of started working on it, and it'll show up on Big Sky Paranormal and YouTube here pretty soon. I'm trying to get, and I guess if any of your folks have anything they want to get to me, I've had a couple people send me something that they say is haunted, and they don't want it.
Mm.
Like they're like, get it out of here. It freaks me out. It freaks my wife out. Whatever. Um, I want to do like a little series on, well, is it? And I'm going to do an investigation of this item. You know, I've got a little statue. I've got a little doll. We're gonna run it through some tests, and we're gonna try all the EVP and the REM pod and cat balls, and we're gonna see what we can get to happen, if anything. And we'll have a little "Is It Haunted" series, which I think is going to be fun,
Yeah.
especially if we find something that legitimately is spooky. Um, yeah, so that's coming up. It's not scheduled, but that's what's next on my plate for YouTube. As far as the podcast, we're just going to keep cranking them out. We got so many stories to talk about. We got a long way to go to catch up with you. We're going to do our best. We're on like I think episode 12 drops tomorrow, but we're going to keep cranking on them.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, we're going to sit down and drink good drinks and talk about ghosts. So spirits. Yeah, and I mentioned it at the front end, but yeah, there are two Spirits with Spirits podcasts. One is defunct; they don't do anything anymore. Ours is Spirits with Spirits Ghost Talk at Gunslinger Gulch. So you can find it. We're much like you, I suppose. We're on all the Apple and Spotify and all of those places.
Right. What we'll do is me and Ralph has leaned around that time. We should do something called Night of the EVPs. We should all gather our EVPs up and play them on the air.
Oh yeah. I'll see if I can pull together. I'll pull together some files and shoot them your way.
Yeah. That'll be fun. We'll get theirs. I'm pushed out to August now. So yeah.
Yeah, we've got some. I have a neat one out. Actually, the first investigation from that restaurant, that steakhouse, we were asking something to go touch the REM pod, and I had a medium with me, and I'm never really sure. There's a lot of people that think they're psychic mediums. I think there's very few that actually are.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about Michael. I loved him. I thought he was a great guy. And I was like, I don't really know. After being to investigations with him enough, I was like, I don't know what he is, but he's something. He's got some sort of connection. I got EVP's things saying his first and last name. It's interesting. He was out there saying that there felt like an older, like a protective woman spirit that was kind of protecting this building, and she cared for it and wanted to make sure that it was safe. I got these EVPs of, well, he was saying, can you please come touch this REM pod? Set off this light. I got two distinct voices whispering, like you usually get, but you can understand it. There is, she's going to touch the thing. She better not. She's going to touch it. And then you hear the REM pod go off. Which is that was pretty neat to hear two things arguing about she better not go near that thing. And then you could hear it beep in the background that it went off. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I could pull that one out. I've had some neat when they interact with, when they coincide with things around, like you hear the EVP and then something happens. I think that's neat because it kind of corroborates it a little bit. And that was one of the cooler ones I have that sort of corroborated, she's going to go touch that REM pod. And then the REM pod went off.
Yeah. I'll get a bunch. I got external hard drives, 4 terabytes.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you having me on, man. This has been fun.
Sure. Well, get going. And then maybe we'll have you and your co-host on next time.
Yeah, we'll have to get Karen on. She is working with her schedule sometimes hard because she actually is a detention officer at the current state
Oh,
prison. So they work like
ah,
12-hour shifts.
oh
So
yes, could be heard. Yeah,
so it's sometimes hard if if she has to work that night, she goes to work at like 4, I think, or something like that, or has to leave at 4. Well, she's sleeping all during the day
all
so
right.
that she can rest to be up all night. So yeah, you have to, in order to do our shows and everything when we record, we've got to really coordinate to make sure the schedules work. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's got plenty of stories. She'd tell you stories for 5 hours about what's happened out there. We've got so many things that have happened out there. I mean, we just go and investigate, right? So we're there for one night. She lives there. So she's got story after story.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, it's awesome how you doing tonight. So I'm so for getting you on, and we'll do it again. We'll keep in touch,
Yeah, yeah, for
and
sure.
then we'll set something up for me having the EVP night.
Yeah, I'll start pulling some together.
So that sounds great. That'd be a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah.
Well, take care, and till next time.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Scott.
Thanks. Happy hunting.